Here's my voice guide on Sunset. We'll start off on defense and talk about B first. So with the recent changes to B site, there are some stuff that got taken away, but there's also some new stuff that got given to Vyse. One thing I need to make sure I go through every single time when I talk about Vyse, though, is how to place razor vines just more generally, because I feel like a lot of people get it wrong that I see. And basically what you want to do is when there's a choke point like this, there's two options you have, right? You can either use both razor vines to secure the choke point, or you can use one. If you use one, you're going to be placing it about 7 meters away. 6 meters is fine too. You're going to be placing it on the second one I just placed. That's going to cover the choke point, right? About 6-7 meters away. So that's what you want to make sure you're doing when you're using your razor vines. So you're placing them about 6 or 7 meters away from the choke point. So you can see here as well. So I'm going to place this one here. I'm also going to place this one a bit here. This covers the choke point completely, right? And front sight. And they're not really detectable. So they will potentially pre-fire them. But if they don't know their exact positions, then they're not going to shoot them, right? And to be honest, they're quite easy to pre-fire. So we need to have some sort of mix-ups. And Sunset B used to have one mix-up on the right side, where you used to be able to place it on something like this. It was on this window. And then it used to go down onto the boxes because of there were boxes there, right? And there's no boxes now, so it doesn't do that, right? If I do it right now, obviously, as you can see, it doesn't reach, right? That used to be a possibility. It's not anymore. So instead, what I've got is I've got something a bit crazy, which is you go into this corner and you aim at the corner of this light here, like this, and it should land on top of the light. It also works on this side as well in the exact same lineup. And what it does is this one will block like cover the stairs and this plant, so they can't run and plant and they can't run up the stairs very easily. It's actually a really strong razor vine because they have to kind of see it go off for it to actually be like pre-fired in the future, right? And very rarely do people actually pre-fire this. I've used it multiple times. It's not been pre-fired yet. And the same with this one as well. This one is also the same. It's a bit worse because on the right side, so and less people will go through this area than stairs. So I do recommend this one a lot because it's very, very good. I also have something similar on post plan that I'll talk about very, very soon for attack. So next we'll talk about the flashes, and the flash is really, really simple as well, and has a very big general rule of thumb where you basically just want to place it on a back wall fairly high majority of the time, right? This is like the rule of thumb with it, right? You want to place it something like that. The problem is with that one is that it will get the person going aggressive upstairs, but it won't get people like coming out onto site, which could be problematic sometimes. So if you do want to like fight on site, for instance, then you can do a flash on this, like this. There is also a flash here as well. This is mainly done if you're going to be fighting for this front area over here, which I'll talk about in a second when we put down the shears. But yeah, this flash is really good when you're actually wanting to fight out of this space. So you usually use this on like retakes. You might use it just in general to kind of fight front sight. But it is pretty good. Next is the shears. Sorry, the shear. And generally, you don't really want to be placing it like this, right? You want to be placing it a bit far away from the choke point, like maximum away like this. This is kind of how I place it majority of the time. This is like the general thing where you don't place it in the choke point, you place it just out of it because it's a bit easier a bit harder for the enemy team to bait it out, basically. The other shears you have access to are this one, sorry. So this one is one that you can do, and it will stop the enemy team, the enemy duelist, from like coming through and having support from their team if they go past it, right? If they go past it up the stairs, then they're stuck back sight alone most of the time. So you can retake back sight when your shear goes off. And then you've got access to back sight for the retake, which is really, really good, right? The enemy team will probably have a really hard time defending the retake if you have back sight so quickly. The other thing as well, also kind of in the same sort of light, is this one as well, where if I do it like this, you can see that what this one does is it blocks off this area here. So as soon as one person goes through, if you want to fight for this portion of sight, and the idea is with this one is that you want to link up with the CT players. So the CT players will kind of have this angle, you will have this angle. And this isn't always how it goes because sometimes, obviously, a lot of the time this does get smoked. So it's not always how it goes. This is usually when it's going to be like late round, they're going to rotate back into B site rather than they straight go B site. So usually I don't place this one very often. But usually this is like how it's going to go, where someone's going to come through, you should get the kill in front market. And then you've got this sort of space and the CT is kind of linking up with you in a crossfire. And then you can kind of like use, for instance, this flash that I said before. You can just sort of use these things to kind of retake from this position. So those are like the shears setups that you can do for B site. If they are running at you on B site and you want to ult, that's also completely fine. You have plenty of options, like plenty of positions you can ult from. for this. If you want to go market as well, there are some market things you can do if you want to do some stuff for market. There is this flash. It can be a bit difficult to place, but no one's turning this flash. Actually, no one's going to turn this flash because it's in such a random position. There is also a razor vine you can do from this corner. I'm pretty sure you aim here, and it should land onto the box like this. And so when it detonates, they can't run through this side, and also they're kind of like forced into the furthest angle away. So it's really good on like maybe anti-ecos. Okay, so that's it for market, and now we'll talk about retake on B. So I usually play B a lot, so therefore I'm not really going to be retaking B a whole lot. I also will most likely be using shear on my actual defense of the site, so I won't have it for a retake. I'll usually just have one razor vine, maybe 0, and have flash, and maybe ult, right? Ult every so often. So a razor vine you can do is you go up to this pillar and aim at this corner, and what it will do is it will land in the window, but then it will also clear these angles. Not exactly clear them, because a razor vine doesn't push anyone out. It's just it stops them from pushing, stops them from walking out of places, right? So it's going to trap them in here, and also they can't really counter strafe versus you. So it's going to make the fights easier if you go over here. It doesn't necessarily like nullify a 50-50, which what a normal molly would do in that situation. Next is the flash. Don't really have another razor vine. You can actually do a razor vine like this. This one is the one that I usually do on Gecko, or at least I used to do on Gecko. I don't really do it anymore because it doesn't really reach fully. But yeah, this one's pretty good. It just basically gets all of sight, all the front sight, as long as it doesn't get shot. Actually, maybe I should start doing it on Gecko. I feel like Gecko does actually reach. I thought it didn't, but actually I think it does. So now we'll talk about the flash. And the flash, there's like two main things about the flash, right? It's either going to be a kill flash or an info flash. And if you're going to do a kill flash, then you want it to basically hit as many things as possible. But if you wanted to have an info flash, you want it to hit as like 2 things as possible, if that makes sense, right? So I want to like put it here, right? Because then what it will do is we'll get this corner, it'll get marked, right? That's an info flash. If I don't get any actual like, if I don't get the audio cue that someone's there, then I know it's clear. Same with like with this info flash as well. This is like an info flash for you in the retake as well, where it will only get front sight and it will get like this part of sight. And that's it, right? So if it doesn't get a tag, there's no one there. If it does get a tag, then you know that someone's going to be in those specific areas. And with the kill flash, it is literally about getting the most area possible, to kind of like flash as many players as possible to help you trying to get a kill in your position. So for your ult, what you can do is you can go into this corner if you have control of sight. If you don't have control of sight, you have to go into market. So these are like the two main things, right? Making sure that you kind of want to be as far as you can towards this door as possible without kind of like putting yourself too much at risk. And obviously if they're only in main, then this is like the best one basically. He's always going to hit them. So yeah, that's basically it for B site. So let's talk about mid next. And in mid, don't really do anything in mid. You can sometimes put your shear here. I think overall it's a bit more of a waste though to put your shear here, because realistically you want to be using it to make trap plays, and this is just going to be work as like a tripwire. Although it is an indestructible tripwire, so Sova can't shock it. So it means that someone has to physically be here, or I guess Yoru clone and stuff like that can also trigger it. But someone basically always, majority of the time, has to trigger it and be here to actually trigger it. So it means that you will actually have info from this shear. Although I don't personally think it's very good to use it like that. Then we go over onto A, and there is this razor vine here on A that you can do. So you go into this corner, and then you do, you aim at like the end of this dark patch here. It lands here. This is the choke point for A. Unfortunately, nothing as good for that on elbow. It is literally, once again, it's like literally this. Or you can do one like this. That is what you've got for A, for the razor vines on defense. For the flashes, very rarely do you do anything towards A main. You can do info flashes like this at the start of the rounds. It's usually going to get shot instantly. But yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Otherwise, you want to try and get like a kill flash. Obviously, them shooting it will give you info, to be fair. But yeah, it's not really that useful overall. You can kind of treat it like a Cypher cam in that sense, where you can kind of place it early, and if you get shot, and you're going to get the info from it. Unfortunately, it just doesn't work the same, because Cypher, you can physically see through the camera a lot of the time at the start of those rounds. So you can actually see everything that the camera sees. So you're not just getting that one person shooting the camera, you're getting multiple people that are also there as well. Or multiple people that are also not there, so you also have that info. You have more guaranteed info by actually seeing them, basically. And the flash has other uses, right? This is a flash, you can get a kill with it. So it is ideal that you kind of use it as a flash more so than a pseudo Cypher cam in that sense. So this is one of the flashes that you're going to do for elbow to get kills. And that's basically it for A. The shears are going to go like in this sort of area. You can also do one like this as well. This one's also quite good because it means that when the person goes out elbow, especially good if they have majority of players go through elbow, if not all players, because it means that the only person that can help them are going to be people that go through A main. Or if they come through at the same time, which is not usually how it goes, especially in solo queue. And so there'll be like a duelist solo on the site, basically, which is really, really good. Also, sometimes Gecko will send his wingman at the same time, so it can isolate wingman and the duelist. So you can kill the duelist and kill wingman, and then they're stuck in a really bad position with the bomb on site and them in like stuck in elbow, basically. So the shear can be really strong in this situation. You can also do the same thing over here as well by just like blocking someone out in A main, or just like keeping them from running away in A main. And usually the player will go over here, or depending on the situation, they might be able to run across, depending on if this is smoked or not, and if no one's contesting it. But yeah, this one is also fine to do. You can also technically do it like anywhere on this as well, but I wouldn't really do that because you're kind of giving them a lot more space than you really should. Okay, so that's it for a defense apart from the retake. I do have some stuff. It's definitely, I think, better than B, as I do tend to retake A lot more. So the first one is at this corner. Aim it like towards like this kind of section at the of the water tower. Should bounce off this window and land in like the default area. You can also get the same on this side as well over here, if you want to go through short or through link, by going into this gate and aim at the corner of this solar panel, and it should basically do the same thing. It's pretty good. The razor vine as well, which is actually quite useful, is you want to go to this corner and aim at this corner here with the like the gun on the ult. That makes sense, like this part of the hood, and then throw, and it should bounce off this part of the highway thing, and then you've got this, right? And in that meantime, while it's like in the air, what you want to do is you want to run up and you want to ult this corner and detonate as you ult, basically. And what will happen is that it will be slowing the people trying to get out your ult, because the one weakness of this ult is that people elbow will run away into this corner, and people may run away over here, right? And very rarely do you have both razor vines up to counter both, right? And also it's kind of like not great in terms of time, because you probably have to spend a lot of time doing those lineups. It's pretty easy to do this lineup really fast, and you've got one, and most of the time I think you want to be prioritizing elbow in that situation, because a lot more people tend to play elbow in the post plant, and it counters one of the weaknesses of your ult in this situation. So that's kind of it for retaking, aside from the flashes. We've already kind of talked a bit on B, but these like the kind of flash you want to do, right? Info flashes that kind of get like where you want to get info for, right? For default, for instance, here. You can also do ones for elbow. Like, pretty sure you can do them through this wall, like this. Very rarely will that one actually go off, because it'll get shot majority of the time. You can also do ones for main, also will get shot, but you know, a lot of the time they are pretty good. You can do one back here as well, detonate for info. All of them are quite good, right? You either look for a kill flash or an info flash. It's pretty simple. Okay, so then they will go on to attack. Okay, so first of all, before I go into like sights and mid and that kind of stuff, what I'm going to say is Vyse is a sentinel with a single piece of information like anti-flank util. So you tend to prioritize wanting to place this util in a choke that defends one of the sides, like A main, for instance, over here, or B main over here, right? That's what you want to prioritize doing, because then what will happen is you place your anti-flank here, you can then play mid, or your teammates can then play mid, and then you can play the opposite side of the map, or you can play mid. So you just play opposite to your team, basically. So you've got anti-flank, team, you, or anti-flank, you, team, basically. And because you don't have a range on your wall, unlike something like a Chamber does, Chamber tends to have to play adjacent to his util, right? To his trademark, where he kind of has to put it down and then play the adjacent part, the adjacent lane. So he puts it down B lobby, and then he basically has to play mid because he has to stay in the range of his trademark. He can't go then play A while his trap is B. Vyse doesn't have that problem. She can go play A, anti-flank A, and still have her anti-flank up on B. So she can be really, really strong in terms of lurking around. And I think that's actually one of the better parts of Vyse on attack in these sort of maps, where she can place her shear on attack and then just go lurk anywhere. and not care about range. One of the parts I think that Cypher is obviously known for as well, but Vyse definitely has that part of it too. Especially as well because you can't shock shear, right? It's not destructible. So someone has to be there to break, to trigger it. It's actually really, really strong in that sense. Because Cypher could be countered like that, and you'll see that in pro play where he will get shocked, and then threatened, and then people will threaten the flank basically by killing his shocks on attack. Oh, sorry, killing his traps with shocks on attack. And Vyse can't have that happen. So that's something I really wanted to talk about with Vyse, because it is really important to take note that when you are playing this, this map on attack, you can place your shear somewhere and lurk. We'll start off with B because we're next to B right now. So as I've already said, anti-flank shear here is pretty good. And then for the most part, you're not really doing too much until post, really. You can send a flash through if you want to into various places, and you do it into market as well, like that, or you can do it onto site like this. You can do it however you want to do it. It's up to you, really. Whatever like the situation calls for. You can do it like this too. But yeah, that's kind of it until you get to post plant, and you can have the shear on post. It depends on if you have a sentinel or not on your team already. But yeah, if you don't have a sentinel, then you probably have to anti-flank. If you do have a sentinel, another sentinel, you can use your shear for like these sort of positions, this position, this position. You can use it for the post plant basically. In terms of razor vines, you can do ones that go into the chokes like this, or ones that like go into another choke like this or something, right? And that like just delay the enemy from getting out into sight basically. You can also do razor vines like this as well. These ones are pixel perfect, so they're really difficult to do and not very consistent. So the first one is in this corner. I want to aim at like this corner here with the left side of my like flower, basically the left side of like the petal of the rose. And it's a bit of a weird lineup. I actually got it first try, which is miraculous, I'll be honest, because usually this one's really hard to line up. And it lands here, and it detonates like this, right? So it stops them from getting to the bomb. The problem is with this one is that it does have a patch where it doesn't get hit, where it doesn't hit anything in the middle here. So they can like counter strafe in the razor vine technically if they need to fight you here. So that is like one of the disadvantages of this one. The other one as well is over here, and you'll probably notice, you'll remember this one from defense. But we want to line up with this line here, like this line. But the weird part about this one is that we want to like not line up the line exactly, as you can see with this part of the hood. We want to like rest the line on top of each other like this, and a bit away from the box if possible, like a pixel away.
Punching thorns.
And I missed it.
Punching thorns.
Okay, I've finally got it. It took me like 3 attempts. 3 attempts? 3 attempts. As you can see, okay, there's another one. It took me 4 attempts. Yeah, as you can see, it covers like this, right? It's exactly the same as the one defense. And you can use it on post plant. It is a bit of a weird lineup, like super pixel perfect, difficult to do. It took me 4 or 5 attempts to get right there, so use it with caution, I guess, or like be prepared for it to not work. So yeah, that's it for post plant on B. So now we'll talk about like going B in general as well, because you don't really provide too much on the lead up towards B. You're very much a good post plant agent or like lurking more sentinel. You're not really good at like providing much for your team when you're initially taking space. So then we'll talk about mid, and in mid, you can do things like throw razor vines to stop the enemy team from like fighting you up here basically. Really good with the smoke, obviously, with the smoke at the top mid, because then they don't see these coming, especially if they land closer to the smoke. And they can be quite good. You can use flashes once again to kind of get through the areas in mid if you want to. If you want to try and fight mid, you can use your flashes to do that, or market, you can use your flashes to do that. They're both pretty fine. And that's pretty much for mid, right? That's pretty much it for mid. You can go through market, and you don't really have too much in the way of like there's not really much to really say about you. So you can throw stuff like this through window and that kind of stuff to kind of help your team. But for the most part, it's all a lot of your attacking stuff is for like through the flash basically. You're basically just using your flash a lot for your attacking stuff. And you can ult as well from this position too. Once again, it's probably more like this. So you want to do it if you actually have, if you don't have B. If you do have B, you can actually ult like this, right? If you actually want to like if you have like market B, like if you had like these 2 areas you've planted already, in like post plant area, like post plant situations, you can do stuff like this, which is quite good. But that's it for mid really. And then we'll go on to A. So on A, there are a couple razor vines you can do. So you want to aim at this corner and then go down slightly, and then jump through. And what should happen is it should land there, hit there. As long as it basically hits this, then it should land over in here. And this is a good choke point. This is a good razor vine to stop people from running back through the choke point. So if anyone's stuck on this side, So if anyone's like on this side, they'll get stuck there. So they're forced to fight you, basically. Forced to fight your team. Which is really good. Another one from this position as well is if you aim at this thing here with this part of the hood like this, it should go to CT eventually. Like that.
Activated.
And that's it. Those are the two razor vines I have for executing on A. And then we have flashes through. But you basically, once again, it's like flashes through anywhere. You can just do the flashes where you think they make sense. So you can pretty much do anything. It's very similar to Breach in that sense, right? You can just put them anywhere you need to put them. There's no like specific good areas. It's more about like the context of the rounds. Once again, your shear is going to be either behind you like this, or it's going to be on the other side of the map with a lurk somewhere, and you're going to be the one lurking. Usually is how it goes. But yeah, that's it for attacking A. Then we'll talk about post plant. So I don't really have too much on post. You can do things like this, right, where you go put them on here like this, and then they go back down onto that. But for the most part, I don't really have too much on post. You can ult from like any of these positions to sort of stop them from coming in. If you're the one planting, ult from here is quite good as well. But yeah, that's basically it. Honestly, you can do these high setup flashes, these high flashes as well for when they come through. Then go fight. It's sort of whatever suits your needs in that round. Vyse is actually a pretty good agent overall. I think she's very underrated. And I think there is a lot of like tech to use. Unfortunately, there's not a huge amount of tech on this map specifically for Vyse. I think Ascent is like the map for Vyse tech. At least for me right now. She's definitely the one I've got the most fleshed out playbook. No, Ascent is definitely the most fleshed out playbook for Vyse for me right now. But I am aiming to expand that, especially when like maps rotate back in. So that's it. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you in my next one.